What's up, guys? I'm Mateus, and I'm here to tell you a little story. Smash Island 5-3 might go down as one of the most controversial tournaments of all time, and I wanted to give my insight on what exactly happened and just give an overview of the tournament in general. So, first things first, let's focus specifically on the bracket. So this tournament saw an entry from Sims, who was quickly eliminated sadly because he had to go make another one of his GoTuber videos. I believe it saw Magmas go 0-2 again, so that's tough. It saw Ermac stall the bracket while trying to do TO stuff. It saw me get probably the worst matchup I could have possibly gotten, having to play a Kirby main in winners round 2. So that was a quick losers for me. This tournament saw the return of Oreo Cacaster to the competitive scene, making a run all the way to winner semis, taking down Lermans and Lil Nady on the way. It saw Rico's Marth also make it all the way to winner semis after defeating Verdend in winners quarters, but losing to Kizu. This tournament saw the return of Miracle 7 to the competitive scene, as well as seeing Prolific substitute into round 1 of losers. So this tournament already included Oreo Cacaster, Prolific, and Miracle 7. Cryptical also entered this tournament, but his run in losers was ended very early, and I'll get into what happened in the losers bracket in a second. But yeah, winners finals ended up being Kizu against Danny, with Danny going over 3-0. Then we move to the losers bracket, where we see Sims get disqualified from the tournament for working on his videos. As I said previously, Magmas went 0-2. We see Prolific come and defeat Adrenalize in round 1 of losers, setting up a match that everyone wanted to see that early, which was Prolific against myself in losers 17th. We see Cryptical make a run through losers and actually run it all the way to top 8 after losing in round 2 of winners, making his, I want to say, first top 8 outside of 20GX, but I'm not sure if that's exactly correct. We saw Best G run it all the way from pretty much the same spot as Crept up to losers quarters, where he was narrowly defeated by Rico's Marth. We saw Lil Nady defeat Prolific in what very well might be Prolific's final competitive set, but more on that later. And then Lil Nady immediately lost to Miracle 7, who I'm assuming this will be his final tournament of all time. Outside of that, there wasn't really much else of note that occurred. Miracle 7 defeated Oreo Cacaster in losers quarters. That set up Rico Miracle 7. Miracle 7 won that 3-2 in a close set. And then after Kizu disqualified himself, it set up a grand finals of Danny Tetheny against Miracle 7, which was not entirely played. So that's a rundown of what happened in the actual tournament, but now let me give you an explanation of what went on in this bracket. So right now you can see, well, you're not going to see it, but I'm going to explain it. It's a statement from Dark Ermac, and it reads as follows. I come before you today with some rather unfortunate news, for you see I have discovered from my inner circle that a majority of your top players from tonight's involvement are involved in a massive scandal spanning the past couple of years. This elaborate scheme goes far beyond anything that has happened with the competitive scene. Below I list everyone who is getting added to the blacklist. Monty will be banned for an indefinite amount of time for masterminding the whole Noctis situation. Miracle 7 will be banned for the rest of Season 5 due to orchestrating the events that unfolded today, in addition to his participation in the Noctis account. He will also be stripped of his Season 5 points and be kicked out of the SSF2 backroom. Nosferatu will likewise be banned from the rest of Season 5 for excessive PTC and participating in bracket collusion. Zer will likewise be banned for the rest of Season 5 for excessive PTC and bracket collusion. He will also be stripped of his Season 5 points and be stripped of his title. Oreo will be banned for 6 months for bracket collusion. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. Rico will be banned for 6 months for PTCing. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. Prolific will be banned for 6 months for his affiliation with the users above, as well as for his participation in today's events. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. Now, keep in mind, up to this point, I'm reading this and I'm kind of laughing because I just thought the fact that this was happening was so funny. I was like, they're really doing this. Like, I can't believe they're doing this. This is crazy. And then I get to my name and I'm like, why is it there? Like, I don't understand. But I'll read it anyway. Mateus will be banned for 6 months for his affiliation with the users above, as well as for his participation in today's event. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. And lastly, Rom will be banned for 6 months for his affiliation with the users above, as well as for his participation in today's event. He will also be stripped of his title. Now, I'm just going to run through each of these very quickly, keeping in mind what happened in the bracket. Monty being banned for an indefinite amount of time, I'm not sure if indefinite is quite fair. As he really wasn't the mastermind behind the whole Noctis situation, as M7 already came out saying that Noctis was his account. But that's just its own thing, I guess. Not Monty hasn't really been active anyway, so that's up for debate. Miracle 7 will be banned for the rest of Season 5 due to orchestrating the events that unfolded today, in addition to his participation with the Noctis account. So, this I don't believe. Also, part of the punishment is he will be stripped of his Season 5 points. I don't think M7 gives a shit. But I just thought it was amazing that he was banned for orchestrating. Like, I really don't think Ermac understands that it isn't that deep. Like, saying orchestrating makes it sound like they're like criminal masterminds of some type, but really it's like they're just people. Like, I don't understand. Then you say Nos will be banned for the rest of Season 5 for excessive PTC and for participating in bracket collusion. I don't know what you mean by bracket collusion. Like, and excessive PTC. Ermac alleges that Nos PTC'd with Rom, but I would like to point out that Rom is a solo Isaac main, and that if you were going, like, you wouldn't be able to PTC for him without everyone knowing, because Rom can't use anyone but Isaac, except Falcon, because Rom's Falcon is sick. Then after that, you have Zaire being banned for the rest of Season 5 and being stripped of his points and his title, but that, like, first of all, like, you're stripping him of his Season 5 points. He competed in one tournament, and I don't know what this punishment is a direct result of, because Zaire wasn't even in the bracket. Ori will be banned for 6 months for bracket collusion. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me at all, because there was no bracket collusion going on. Oreo and Miracle played their set, and then they played rotations afterwards. If you want to get mad at them for stalling, I understand, but that's still not a 6-month ban. You could argue that they stalled the bracket for even a little, but then if you're going to go that far, you could also argue that Danny stalled the bracket for being missing for, like, however long he was. So yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's entirely unfair to Oreo, because he just played and he got in trouble for just playing, which is crazy. But yeah, then you move on, you have Rico, who was banned for PTCing, even though he played the entire tournament. He played Marth the entire tournament. I know Marth's not his main, but Rico has a Marth. He just didn't feel like going Yoshi. I don't know why he automatically gets accused of PTCing, because he didn't PTC with anyone this entire time. Then you have Prolific being banned for 6 months for affiliation Here's where we start to get into the interesting territory as I set up the next replay. Affiliation. What does that mean? Prolific will be banned for 6 months for affiliation with the users above as well as for his participation in today's events. He will also receive negative points for Smash Island and be stripped of his title. So you're telling me that because Prolific is friends with the people who you are alleging and alleging that they did something wrong and then punishing them, you are going to extend that punishment to Prolific as well, and then make it very unclear. You're saying his participation in today's events, as far as I know, Prolific just entered the tournament and lost to Nady, and then he got banned for 6 months. I don't really see how that makes a shred of sense exactly. If you're gonna start, do you see if someone commits a murder, do you see their whole family going to jail? No, you see just the murderer going to jail because they're the ones who committed the crime. You don't just send everyone else to jail for association, for affiliation. Like if there's a gang related crime, the whole gang doesn't go to jail. You can only send the person who committed the crime to jail because that's how the justice system works. And apparently that's not how the justice system works in SSF2 because you can be banned for just having friends. Likewise, I'm banned for 6 months for my affiliation with the users above, as well as for my participation in today's event. As far as I know, my only participation in today's event was losing to a Kirby and then having to play Prolific in losers because for some reason we still allow people to sub after they don't check into the tournament, and then as such you give them an awful seed that makes it more difficult for the people that actually checked in. So all I did was basically lose. I lost 2 sets and then I got banned for 6 months while I was watching Summit. I don't understand at all. I don't understand why we're banning people for having friends. And then you have Rom, who is probably the worst case out of all these because you're banning him for affiliation and participation in today's events. And Rom wasn't even online. Rom wasn't entered in the tournament. Rom wasn't even on Discord for a majority of the time. Like, I don't think he had nothing. Like, you couldn't even. Pretty much half the people that are banned had nothing to do with whatever happened. But with Rom, you're literally like that's just baseless. Like you can't even argue that because I feel like he just wasn't even there, and you're banning him strictly for having friends, which I find incredible. Then there's one more message I want to read out, and it comes in TWS, and it reads. I know I'm pretty late, but I think I should give my opinion on Ermac's decision. This is coming from Mr. Waluigi, keep in mind. So take that with a grain of salt. I have a good and a bad point to make. Bad point first, I think Ermac went a little overboard on the bans. I think that's the good point. I think it's a good point that he went overboard on the bans because personally I believe that he definitely did. Um, what I mean is that he basically banned all of 1629 without appeal. From what I saw, Rom and Matt had nothing to do with the situation, yet they were still banned for being in 1629. They honestly shouldn't get a ban for being in a part of a group because they're taking others' pain and that's out of their control. So let me elaborate on this. Prolific should also be added to that list at the very least, and Oreo to be honest. But what you have to understand is that if we're playing by Ermac rules, and I'm not even gonna have to explain what Ermac rules is after you hear this. So we knew about the Noctis account and we're getting in trouble. The extended like of the extent of 1629 is getting in trouble for that because we didn't snitch. But technically, pretty much the higher ups in TWS, including Mr. Waluigi himself, knew that TBV was alting before anyone else did, and they not only did they turn a blind eye, but they condoned it, and they pretended that it was a completely new person and allowed him to play in FCR tournaments under his new account and kept it a secret to everyone. So wouldn't that mean that since TBV is a part of TWS and he's the one that did something wrong, And since the people in TWS knew that he was doing that, shouldn't that mean that they should all get banned for TBV alting? Shouldn't they all have whatever the ban for TBV is right now, which I believe is 4 months? I think if we're working with Ermac logic, I believe that that should be the case because they're friends with TBV and they let him do what he did, so they're just as guilty apparently as far as Ermac's concerned. But I'm not gonna read the second part of Mr. Waluigi's statement because that's just annoying. But yeah, that's kind of also I want to argue, or not even argue. 6 months? Are you fucking kidding me? Are like you literally? I mean, I fuck with Alan, but Alan had like 6 alts, and he only got banned for a month. And then you got like, yeah, you got all these alts. Everyone who PTCs and alts gets banned for 1 month, with the exception of TBV, who is banned for faking speed tests and alting multiple times and deleting a tournament. But everything on the spreadsheet that has to do with alting or PTCing is 1 month. And then you have people in this situation who have done neither of those things, and you have them being banned for 6 months. If that does that sound right? I don't think that personally, in my opinion, that doesn't sound right to me. But it's okay. I guess I'm just gonna have to train really hard so that when I come back after the game's dead, I can be the next prolific. But yeah, that sucks. I mean, it's all undeserved. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything left for me to say really. Like, just it's a shitty situation. It was a shitty decision on Ermac's part, and I don't think there's much that we're gonna be able to do about it because it doesn't seem like he cares particularly. I think the whole point of this was strictly to get rid of 1629, which is now ice. It's now ice. Stop calling it 1629. But yeah, the whole point of this, I don't even think they really paid attention to details. They just strictly wanted to get rid of everyone, which I don't think is fair. And then accusing certain people in the group of being involved in the Noctis situation when, take myself for instance, I haven't even been in the community for 4 months. I wasn't here for Noctis, and you're going to punish me for that. Same with Rom, and I want to say same with half of the other guys who had nothing to do with it. Like, they need to do a better job of ironing out their details, and they should never make a statement that massive, because you have to understand what that statement does is, I'm not setting up another replay, by the way. What that statement does is it puts it puts fear into people. Like, it makes them like, you literally banned people. You banned a majority of the people that were considered gods of the previous season. And then you're also banning Rico, who's been winning tournaments this season. You ban Prolific, who has been winning tournaments this season. You ban myself, who won a tournament this season. You ban Rom, who is is always consistent and always does well when he plays, and like has the respect of the players around him. And like, you ban those people, and what you have left when you get rid of the banned and the inactive is a top 10 list that spans pretty much the entirety of the top 30, because you just eliminated 2/3 of the people that you're ranking, because half the or a third of the top 30 is inactive. They haven't participated in a tournament since the beginning of November, and then the other third you just banned. So you're almost limiting, or you're taking off 2/3 of the top players, or the top 30 players. Top players isn't something we should be calling anyone. But yeah, you're limiting 2/3 of the top 30. Like, what is that going to do to the tournament scene? And you shouldn't, that statement shouldn't have been made without the facts ironed out, because regardless of whatever they go back and change now, that statement's going to stay there, and it's going to be there for people to look at. Um, I don't have anything against Ermac. I think some of the stuff that he said was low key creepy, like saying I'm always watching or some shit. Like that's weird. But yeah, it's cool. I don't think I'm gonna be banned for 6 months, and I don't think half the people that are banned are going to be banned for that extent of like that whole period of time. But I still think the thought that it was like on the table for us to be banned for that long is kind of crazy. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna end this video here. That's my insight. If you have any questions, fuck off. Like I don't know what to tell you. I think I said everything. And don't let you ever forget that chaos lost to a sandbag. Thank you and goodbye.